Hi everyone, I'm Soraya Rhea, and thanks for tuning in for my review of Married at First Sight Season 9, Episode 9. Got it right this time. Ooh, alright. I'm just gonna say, this episode was kind of like, meh. Y'all could have just watched it on Twitter. You could have just caught up on Twitter, whatever. It really was nothing, especially given the last two episodes that were just whoa, fire, This one was definitely one that you could have been pass. And I realized, in the franchise, this is kind of the episode that is it's the 1 month anniversary. So it's all focused on oh my gosh, 4 weeks ago, we didn't know each other. 4 weeks ago, we were strangers. 4 weeks ago, blah, blah, blah. Look how far we've come 4 weeks from then. And then someone always goes back to the wedding site. Someone else, does something really adventurous and whatever. And then they exchange gifts and blah, 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 blah. So that's what happened on this episode. So, we already know what happened. Who left this time? Or what can I say? Who left again? Jamie done bounced. And because Jamie bounced, and for something that I feel was really petty, I have to revoke the one maths award that I gave to Jamie. So that's a no for me, Jamie. Yeah, no. You got to pick your battles. All right, let's just get into it. And I'm gonna start with just the drama couple, okay? Jamie and Elizabeth. Let's go. They're celebrating their 1 month anniversary. They're seemingly excited. And they're the couple that goes right back to the location where they all got married, okay? And oh my gosh, look at this, this is so nice, blah blah blah, oh, look at what Jamie planned for me, whatever, producers. There's rose petals everywhere, there's a table, they have dinner together, they talk, blah blah, then they exchange gifts. Elizabeth gives Jamie, looks like some kind of coupon book, some sort of sexual coupon book or whatever. He never reads any of what the coupons mean, so we don't really know what she came up with her creative little self. But then he gives her a necklace, and it looks like it was a Tiffany box or something. So the producers paid for something. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so and then she loves. Then during their conversation at the dinner table, they both ask each other, so is there anything that you want me to improve? Is there anything that you're concerned about? What do you think about, our time so far? Blah, 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 blah. And they both answer, no, it's been good. Elizabeth did note the last couple days have been great, whatever, to obviously show that it's not like they've been living in peace for 4 weeks, But, they both gave each other an opportunity to kind of say hey, whatever, to actually say something. But, maybe they watched last season when Will and Jasmine had that conversation at their 1 month, and Will gave Jasmine a real low score of 6 point whatever, or 5 point something, or whatever it was. So maybe they just didn't want to get caught up in that. So they both were just yeah, I'm cool. So then, each of the couples gets a little gift from the producers from the show. It's their wedding license, a photo album, blah, blah, blah. So at dinner, Jamie and Elizabeth start looking at the album. She's looking at it and she's like, oh my gosh, look at how I look. Oh, my dress, I'm so happy I got my dress fixed. And oh, my hair, wow, look at that. The lighting, it looks really great, whatever. So she's pretty much only focusing on herself. If they did not hone in on that, I would not have noticed. If Jamie did not note that and start to let us know that this is why he's upset, I would not have noticed that Elizabeth was just focusing on herself. So, then so he seems to get agitated or seems to get a little So then they go back home, and then it's the stationary camera that we're looking through right now. And it's late at night, it's night vision and stuff. So, and we see them kind of have they're having an argument in one of the rooms, or, one goes to one room, then the other one follows, and they're still having this argument. And she's like, leave me alone, Jamie. And he's like, you're only concerned about your dress, your hair, you're this, you're that, And she's like, stop being so critical of me, And then he basically packs up his stuff and leaves. And she's like, or maybe he was like, well, if I leave, this is it. This is over, And then he's like, yeah, have a nice life, And he's got his cat in tow, and Jamie is out. And, and he calls her a materialistic something, I don't know if it was the B word or what. But she is heartbroken the next morning and saying that, like, this is like, it's like I can never get it right. It's that whole thing, I guess, that some women do when there's a breakup or when there's, and I'm not, it's not that I don't understand it, but like, I mean, I feel like there's two ways you could go when there's a breakup. It's like, you could just blame the other person, be like, see, that's why I never liked you. That's why you was never nothing. That's why I don't need you. Right? You could go that route, Or people go this other route where it's like, hey guys, I can never get it right. It's just why nobody wants to be with me. I don't understand. Like, so she like went that route, and I'm just like, why? I'm waiting for Pastor Cal to get in there and talk to these two fools, But I will say, Jamie, totally petty, totally wrong. I do not see why you left. Again, go to the second bedroom. Even if you were really hurt or whatever, like, why didn't you just say, like, hey, Elizabeth, like, I mean, don't you notice me? You could always, like, say things even when you're hurt. Like, you could, my therapist always says, try to bring things up with a bit of humor, to kind of cut the tension, to kind of break down some of those walls that can easily be built up when someone is offended and when someone is hurt. So he could have been like, wow, okay, so you just gonna act like you don't see me there, right? Who's there? Hey, who's that handsome man right there? Oh, yeah, that girl is real pretty, but like, who's that handsome man right there? Man, I would just think it, you know what I'm saying? Or he could have just played into it and done the same thing that she did, which was just focusing on everything about himself and seeing if she would notice. And even if she didn't, then he could realize, oh, it's not personal. Homegirl just doesn't realize, Anyway, that's Jamie and Elizabeth. Moving on. Matt and Amber. I don't have much to say because I'm still not over Matt's behavior, and because I still do not believe that he has taken true accountability for his actions. Anyway. So again, they celebrate their 1 month anniversary. They go out to dinner. He sings her a song, plays a guitar. And remember how I was saying, like, ew, my gosh, like, Matt plays a guitar, he sings, he's a musician, he's whatever. But I don't even care anymore. I don't even care. I'm just like, yeah, go ahead with your little John Mayer wannabe self. Like, I don't even care. If it wasn't for his actions and his attitude and my true question of what is he doing on this show, I would have been a little bit more open to his little acoustic guitar number. But I don't care. And then on top of that, Amber herself is not holding him to, his actions, because she is describing their relationship as just being perfect. She keeps using the phrase, everything is perfect, and using the word perfect to describe her and Matt. And I'm just like, where? How? And she's like, yeah, we started off like last week or whatever, or this week, like a little rocky, but like since our conversation and since the talk with Dr. Pepper, like things have been just perfect. Like now we're both on the same page. And that's the same phrase that they both use. Like we're both on the same page now. And I'm like, oh, so that's why Matt did what he did, because y'all weren't on the same page? And actually, I believe that is what they think, because I read in someone's like blog or something that this person interviewed Amber at some point, and apparently Amber said that she forgave Matt as soon as she did because she did not give Matt her expectations. She did not let him know what she expected of him in their relationship and in their marriage. And I'm like, no. I don't think anybody needs to know that you don't leave for an entire 24-hour period to someone that you just met like 2.5 weeks ago and then ignore their calls and text messages. He did not even have an excuse when he came back. It was just like, I just went from here to here to here to here. He didn't say nothing. He didn't give any of the tired excuses that people give, like my phone died or I ran out of gas or whatever. Like he came with no excuses. Like that's the thing. Like he did not think he did anything wrong. So it's a no. It's still a no for me, dog. One thing that Matt said in his particular interview, he said, and I quote it, I wrote it down because I wanted to quote. he's talking about how, it's just been really stressful for him. There's been a lot of adjustments that he's had to make. He's never been a husband before. He says he's never, had to be committed before in a relationship. He's just getting used to being a married man. And there's just a lot that he's like having to get used to. He always just defers to like, and I just want to make Amber happy, and I just want to make Amber happy, and I just want to do whatever for her. And I'm just like, again, I don't like that, because my thing is, I don't need you to do something right because you think that that's what I want for you to do. I want you to do it right, especially when it comes to the core values of our relationship, the foundation of any relationship: commitment, trust, open communication, honesty, integrity. You know what I'm saying? But he's making it about her instead of like taking on ownership. Oh, I got to do this for Amber. I got to do all these things to make her happy. And it's like, I just think it's such a cop-out. It's such a cop-out. So experts, like, I hope that you are watching these interviews that they're doing, and I hope you are going to call him on it at some point. Please, somebody, Anyways, so for them, everything is perfect. So yes, I'm just hating on Matt just a little bit. So, just to cleanse my audible palette, just play one of my favorite John Mayer songs, acoustic. Going to Dianna and Greg. And in starting with Dianna and Greg, I'm going to say that this week's Maths Award goes to my girl, Dianna. Yes. It goes to Dianna. Dianna's a real one. Like, for real, this whole episode, Dianna's the champ. I know I got on her at the beginning of the season and with several things, whatever. But in real life, Dianna, I like Dianna. I think she needs some working through, of course. All y'all need therapy, without a doubt. Whether you're married or not, y'all need therapy, okay? Everybody does. But I think Dianna is doing really well with the process. And as a real person who is dealing with conflict, who is dealing with challenges, who is dealing with her own fears, her things that she knows she has to work through and towards. And she's doing it, and she's making improvements, and she's doing a really good job. So Maths Award this week goes to Dianna. She opened up. We saw her and Greg go and play, a game of bowling. All right, so that's their little anniversary evening starts out. No. They do that before their anniversary evening. But they have a really good time. Honestly, again, like the way I said that I wanted to hang out with them when their friends came over, like I would have loved to be there bowling with them. They seem like really fun people to hang around and to just have a good time. Pastor Cal then comes to meet with them, which I kind of don't understand, because that's the only couple that he meets with, or at least that they air his meeting with, so I don't understand, because they're not having a problem. So I don't know why Pastor Cal went there and not to like the other two couples, He says that he thinks that Dianna has walls up, and I'm like, what? Dianna is like leaning on Greg. They're like, just like really interacting really well in front of Pastor Cal, and she's like really excited to tell Pastor Cal how much she has grown. And she even said, like, I'm being more conscious about, like, oh, okay, let me make sure I show affection to him in this way that I know that he really enjoys, and it doesn't seem forced. It doesn't seem disingenuous or whatever. Like, they seem really comfortable together. So hands down, this couple is good. They're going to be one of the successful couples of Married at First Sight. I believe it. I will put money on it. They are going to be the power couple that Pastor Cal has called them to be. But at the same time, I don't understand why Pastor Cal was kind of coming at Dianna with the whole like, oh, you still have walls up. He basically asked her like, well, so where are you regarding love? And she was like, oh, no, I'm not there yet. She's like, I think he is, because he kind of keeps asking her, like, so do you love me yet? Do you love me yet? And my thing is, Greg, do you act like, for real, Greg, you actually love this woman already? I'm sorry. Look, I'm not saying never, but I don't think that is really realistic. One of the things that Dianna said, which I'm like, yo, I feel you on this, Dianna, I really do. One of her fears is that she said that she doesn't know if he's going to love all of her. She's like, I'm comfortable with all of Dianna, but there are sides to me that he hasn't seen yet. There are situations that he has not seen me in yet. And she is concerned about, will he love all of me? Which I think I'm realizing, let me know in the comments, y'all. I think that's like a woman thing, right? Because when Pastor Cal asked Greg, does he have the same fears? Greg was like, no. And I realized, well, yeah. Behavior of men is not judged the way the behavior of women is judged. It's like, you have to be, because of, you are called to be this for your man and blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, I think when something goes wrong with a man, it's like there's always a woman for him to blame. Or in the relationship, it's like, oh, because of that crazy woman of yours? Yup, because of that crazy woman. That crazy woman? Yes. If it wasn't for that crazy woman. So I'm not surprised that Greg does not have those feelings that she has. So I just, whatever. So I guess Greg loves her already. Dianna, don't rush yourself, girl, please. Please. Rushing her into saying that she loves him or rushing her into feeling that she's in love with him or whatever, doesn't make no sense to me. Jamie Otis even said on this season's Unfiltered episode, she said that she did not fall in love with Doug, her husband now, for 5 years, until they were married for 6 months. So it was way past the time of Married at First Sight. So I don't know. It's stupid. So, here we have Elizabeth and Jamie who have declared love for each other multiple times, and homeboy has left twice. So what's the point? Sometimes words are just words. No. All right. Last but not least, Keith and Iris. The only reason I'm saying is because Iris revealed something more about herself and her beliefs and what she has been thinking about her virginity and what it means to her marriage. And it's not that we didn't think this, but this was the confirmation, and I'm just disappointed, and I just want to be like, sis, let me talk to you. Can somebody please forward this? Does anybody know Iris personally? Or know somebody who knows Iris personally? Or know somebody who knows somebody who knows Iris personally? Can they please send this to Iris? Iris, I want to talk to you, girl. I mean, I know that we're already past filming. Okay, my mom noted that Dianna and Greg's cake said, March 21st or whatever. So like, I know that y'all are done filming from the winter, but like, I still want to talk to you, Iris, because I feel like you still probably have some thoughts, but anyway, let me start off by first saying that Keith was the one that first started talking about Iris's virginity. Okay, Keith's best friend met him for lunch, and he pretended to not know about Iris's virginity, and Keith pretended that this was his first time telling his friend about Iris's virginity, but we all know it wasn't. So good acting, friend, or not good acting, because he was like, he pretended to, cough his food and be like, let me get my napkin. You said what? Now what now? But I didn't buy it. Keith, I think you did a bit of a better job with the acting of just saying like, yeah, because she's a virgin, whatever. And again, how did we even get here? The producers lead everybody, all the friends and family, to ask the couples about their sex life. So yeah, the friend tries to casually drop that little like, oh, so like, well, how's things going in the bedroom? And then he also adds the leading question of, are things going mutually there or whatever? Like whatever he said, it was like, I'm like, yeah, nice leading question, bruh. Okay, please. And then Keith, slid it in like, well, because she's a virgin and blah, blah, blah. And his friend, again, pretended to choke on his food. And he was like, what? And then he spills the tea in his little interview and says, I don't think Keith has ever gone this long without having sex. So I'm like, okay, all right, well, I guess your friend's sexual history that well that you know that he has never gone more than a month without having sex when he's dating somebody, or he's never gone a month without having sex. One of the two, I don't know. But here's the thing. From the beginning of the show, Keith has said to us, from the first intro episode, he did note that relationship in the past have been more physical and have been physical first. And he does not want to do that again. So as much as people are getting on Iris for like holding out her virginity and still like being obsessed with her virginity and whatnot, it's like, wait, y'all realize that like Keith is actually not pushing the let's have sex now train. Like he's not begging like Greg. He did even say to his friend before he said that Iris is a virgin, he was like, he's like, she's still trying to feel me out and I'm still trying to feel her out. And he's like, yeah, we're still waiting. He's like, it's mutual for the most part. Yeah. And I really do believe it because Keith knows. And this is what his friend does bring up in the end. It's like, he's not trying to sleep with her if they don't work out. He does not want that for her. He doesn't want it for himself to have that kind of reputation and to have that kind of like guilt, I guess. But then he really doesn't want it for her because he knows that it's a big deal for her. And if she's waited this whole time to then have this memory of her first time then be with what could be her ex-husband, I mean, I get on. Iris has a little pool date with her mom. And so they're talking about sex and her virginity and whatever. Iris, it's like, what are you hearing, Iris? And then what are you understanding? And then what are you then telling? It's not, it's like three different messages. It's like Iris is playing telephone with herself. Like by the time the message comes out, it's like, that's not what was said to you. She basically tells her mom that like, oh, suddenly, all of a sudden my virginity is a problem with Keith. And I'm like, when did he say that? Iris, when did he say that? The only thing that Keith had an issue with was when you started cringing last week when y'all were having the discussion with the fishbowl game, which I do feel was inappropriate, but at the same time, you could have had a better response. Keith did not have a problem with your virginity. He knew that it was a concern in the way that your mom did say is more of a care, like, okay, this is now something to take or to be considerate of in a very delicate fashion. Iris then also says that, and I just don't understand, like, why my virginity is like a concern, like in a bad way, like it's an issue? Because most guys, quote, she said, most guys would be so happy to and so excited to be with me and that I would give this to them, my virginity, and they would be really happy to, and grateful to be with somebody who has never been with anybody before. And I'm like, Iris, why? Because my thing is like, first of all, Iris, you talking out one side of your mouth saying, oh my gosh, most guys would be so grateful for it. And then you talking about the other side of your mouth at the beginning of this show that brought you on the show in the first place because you said that you could not find somebody who wanted to be patient and wait with you, who had the patience to wait with you. And who thought that it was a good idea that you were going to wait until marriage to have sex. Which one is it, Iris? But the fact is that no, most guys are like awkward. And look at church boy Greg talk about, oh, I wouldn't know what to do. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't know what to do. I had to bring my A game. Remember, Dianna, he ain't bringing his A game. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't understand why Iris said that about her mom, to her mom, about Keith. One of the major problems with the purity message is, even though it may be presented to both adolescent guys and girls, I think that the weight is always imbalanced towards the girl. The weight, the true responsibility is really expected for the girl to uphold. And certainly when we're talking about Black church, okay? Yeah, so in Black church, I feel like Black Protestant church, I feel like at some point, even if you never got a purity ring or were like really a part of the purity movement or whatever, at some point as a woman or as a young girl, an adolescent girl, you get the message that you are supposed to wait. And then yes, that that it is presented, virgin is presented as gift to the spouse, right? But then it's really more so like, really woman, it's the gift to you. I will be hard pressed to know that there are any, Black boy Christian that grew up in the church that had a similar experience where they were really encouraged and really it was told to them that like, oh, your gift of your virginity, hold on to the gift of your virginity to give to your wife. I really don't think that message is sent to the boys, particularly the Black church, Black boys. And at some point, even if I mean, the message is given, like, oh, you know, wait until, you know, you're married to have sex. But at some point, the unwritten rule is men can't really wait. We can't really expect men to wait. And then, right? And then if a woman doesn't wait, then she's a whore, you know? So a man is never a whore. He's just a man. Y'all ain't ready to have an adult conversation. But, you know, one thing that Iris's mom says to her, which I think is more for like general like relationship advice, even though she's talking to her about her virginity and having sex, my thing is like, Iris's mom, I'm like, there ain't no way that you probably wasn't preaching the same thing to her. Like, wait to give it as a gift to your husband. She did give her some good advice by saying, you know, the only way you can learn to swim, which is not true, but like, you know, you got to jump right in. And then if you belly flop, it's okay. Get up, regroup, and then try again. And then you'll learn and be okay with it. And I think the message that she's at least trying to say to her daughter, which I do agree with, is don't wait for things to be perfect, and don't be afraid when things are not perfect, because many and most things are not perfect. Or when you think that they need to be perfect in order for it to be right and good, that's not necessarily the case. I do not think the message that her mom is saying, which perhaps I could see some people taking this as such, I do not think her mom is saying, hey, sleep with Keith. If it don't work out with you, it's okay. You good. You know, I do not think the message is, it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead and just go have several sexual partners. You'll be good. You can just regroup and then just be okay. Whatever. Again, if that is somebody's experience or whatever, that's fine. But that does not mean that you will not have scars and whatnot. But I think that the general advice that her mom is giving her about life and being fearful and just dealing with her fears, you know, is, hey, you're never going to be fully ready. You're never going to have a perfect point or time for things to happen. At some point, you do just have to take the plunge. And I think that's fine advice for Iris to help her move forward. I do not think that she needs to have sex between in a particular time period just so everybody can be like, huh, fine, this virgin could just shut the up. You know, no. Again, major flaw with, as I said before, the major flaw with the purity culture is that when it is imbalanced, it between men and women, you know, it's gonna end up like this, where she's like, but wait, but I have this gift, but then he doesn't think it's a gift, but it's a gift, you know. So with that, what I have to say to Iris particularly is, unless you went on your marriage journey expecting to be equally yoked with your spouse regarding sexual background and experience, why would you think that he would have the same thoughts about sex that you would? So, you know, this is a lesson in, which I think that people do view this in some ways, even though they view it more so as sexual compatibility, like, you know, two people that like to do this should then be together rather than two people who don't like to do that should then be together, you know? But I think it really comes down to not so much about past sexual experience, even though the past, what you have done in the past and what you have cultivated a taste for will inform what you want to continue to do, right? Okay. But I think that more like the deeper thing, which is like, go deeper. Can we go deeper to principles and the foundation of our why in life? I think that, Iris, you need, with the kind of person that you are, and I understand, you really would have needed to be with somebody who has a similar view of sex as you do. Not so much the same background, but someone that has a similar view of sex. And being that he does not have the same view of sex as you do, you're hung up because you just can't get over the fact that he has a different view of sex than you do. I think that Iris, if she could be more understanding, the way that Keith is being more understanding, he may not believe what you believe, but he is certainly understanding and willing to be more accepting than you are accepting of him. You know, but I do feel I just like Iris, being that you know that you have had problems finding a guy that is willing to be patient and wait with you, if you don't like open up to accept and understand, you definitely can miss out on a really, really genuine and great guy with Keith. In the end, they exchange gifts. She gives Keith some records, which he's just like, in his face, he's just like lit up. He is so happy. And then he gives her a necklace, which she loves and all that. And, you know, then the lights turns off. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe, surprise, surprise. Maybe they'll have sex that night. I don't know. It's possible. We don't know a lot about Greg and Keith and their relationship experience and what they're bringing to the table with their experience. I want to know more about Keith and Greg. Like, first, I want to know about Greg and his toxic ex-fiance relationship. I want to know what happened with that. Yup, I do. I want to know more about that. We had to go dig and know about Dianna's past. So I would like to know, dig. Let Dianna dig and find out what's going on with Greg. What was his background? What happened? Because they're making it seem as if you are like the problem person in that relationship. No. I want to know about his background. And then Keith, what is your dating experience? You know, did you have a bunch of girlfriends? Did you just have a bunch of situationships? We know nothing about Keith. I love me some Keith, but for real, we don't know anything about him. Anyway, y'all, so let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. And, I mean, do you think that Jamie and Elizabeth are over? Do you think Jamie and Elizabeth are over? Are you waiting for the other shoe to drop with Matt and Amber yet again? And where do you think that Iris and Keith are going to go from now on? Anybody else victim of the purity culture movement? And again, it's not that there's a wrong message as much as it was presented incorrectly and imbalanced. And then, yes, some wrong messages wrapped up in there too. That's true, yes. You know, so anyway, but let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you. Again, love the comments that you guys are adding to the conversation. I love writing back. And share this video, subscribe so you know when I'm going to upload next, and we will continue the conversation. All right, guys, see you later. Bye. Oh, my